Hello everyone, the December Review here, back again with a movie review. Today, we have the return of Sopranos creator David Chase, hitting the streets of New Jersey once again to bring us the prequel to one of the most successful and influential TV shows of all time with the Many Saints of Newark. Some spoilers ahead, and if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel for more.
Antonio Soprano.
I wonder if I can talk to you alone for a moment, Mrs. Soprano. On the basis of the Sanford Binet, he's high IQ.
You can't prove it by me. He's got a D+ average.
Well, he doesn't apply himself, but he is smart. The results tell us he's a leader.
So there's a lot to unpack here with the Many Saints, and it's best to compartmentalize the story and overall scope of the film. On one hand, we have the movie itself, which follows Dickie Moltisanti, father of Chris, as he runs a numbers game and navigates his way through the treacherous mob lifestyle. On the other hand, after 14 years, we have the return of some of the main characters from The Sopranos. If you follow that show to its unique conclusion, then you will know that getting to spend more time, albeit in prequel form, with these associates is just as, if not more exciting than the plot itself. With creator David Chase on board and directed by series regular Alan Taylor, it's to no surprise that these two inroads connect seamlessly as the Many Saints of Newark manages to deliver a Soprano story worthy of its reputation and delight fans with its trip back to the Jersey streets, locations, and characters. The movie opens up a bit surprisingly to Chris Moltisanti, yes, that Chris, in voiceover and from beyond the grave, to introduce us to the proceedings. So right off the bat, we are in familiar territory. We are introduced to his father Dickie, played by Alessandro Nivola, and his father Aldo, played by Ray Liotta. Aldo is back from Italy, and he has brought his new bride home with him, who is experiencing America for the first time. After a fight between the new couple turns violent, Dickie confronts his father, and, in a rather intense and emotional scene, scores are settled. This kicks off the journey of Dickie Moltisanti that unravels over the course of the film. Leslie Odom Jr. plays Harold, whose relationship with Dickie is a big plot point for the movie. He does great work as the numbers runner who starts to stretch his territory and luck to gain power. One of our side stories is, of course, the upbringing of one Tony Soprano. William Ludwig steps in for the first half as Tony and does a good job balancing the Tony we know versus this version. The Soprano family is all represented with Janice, Johnny, and Livia on screen. Michael Gandolfini steps in about halfway through and he does tremendous work, showcasing a lot of the mannerisms and nuances of the character. As a fan of the series, it's thrilling, heartbreaking, and a joy to watch all at once. Tony gets in trouble a lot. From hijacking ice cream trucks to running his own numbers game, he is clearly a product of his environment. With his father away in prison, Dickie steps in as his de facto dad, and the sure-handed confidence that embodies Dickie paves a golden path for Tony to eventually take his lofty place in the family. One thing the film shows is the crossroads Tony finds himself in. At one point, with Dickie attempting to stay out of his life, an angry Tony swears off the business. Had this come to pass, well, we wouldn't have had a TV show, but for the sake of compelling filmmaking, this plot point is an interesting one. It's also shown that the ones in charge had Tony lined up all along. His fate was inevitable. We spent a lot of time with Tony and Livia, played wonderfully by the great Vera Farmiga. That relationship played so heavily in the series, and here we are able to break down exact moments of their relationship in this time frame. Tony isn't yet the angry mob boss, and here he shows his caring side at times, within the haze of the dysfunction his family finds itself in. There is a particular telling scene with Tony talking to a guidance counselor that shadows his eventual sessions with Dr. Melfi. And of course, there are a host of other returning characters in their prequel form. We get Polly, Silvio, Uncle Junior, Salvatore, Jackie, Artie, and even a quick scene with Carmela. I found it fascinating to figure out who was who at first. Some of the character quirks came off a bit disjointed in the case of Silvio and Polly, but it wasn't anything too distracting. Uncle Junior gets some interesting things to work with here. Only knowing the character from the series, he appears much taller in his more formidable years, but that snarky bite is ever present. Maybe it's because of how I've processed the original HBO drama, but this 2-hour film felt episodic. The show's excellent use of music was on full display again, while on cue every 30 minutes or so a new track would play, signaling the next chapter within the film. One benefit the series had being on HBO versus a standard network was that they didn't have to hold anything back. That violence and language is present here once again, but Many Saints never truly rises above what came before it. One would think being a feature film all these years later would have resulted in some higher stakes for its mob crew, but instead we are treated to essentially a condensed season of the show. And what a glorious season it is. The film could have certainly played out over the course of, say, 12 episodes, concluding with the same ending we see here. I thoroughly enjoyed the time we got to spend with this version of The Sopranos, and I wish we were able to see this continue every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Overall, The Many Saints of Newark rekindled the Soprano spirit while giving longtime fans a lot to talk about. The cast was pitch perfect, stepping into some rather big shoes left by its original series stars. Hopefully, this doesn't mark the end of the journey, but rather a new beginning, and we get to see this storyline continue down the road. I give The Many Saints of Newark 4 out of 5 stars, and if there's one big thing you must keep in mind when viewing not just this film, but the entire Sopranos universe, in order to truly appreciate its arc, well, it's simply that if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel for more, and let me know your thoughts on the film in the comments section below.